We live on this planet called Earth, and this is where we get everything that we need to survive. This planet is our home, yet why does it seem like this planet is slowly deteriorating? In this video, we will discuss the question, are humans invasive? Let us end it with us. Let's break the chain of exploitation. The first topic that we would like to discuss is the biogeochemical cycle. The term biogeochemical is a combination of the biological, geological, and chemical aspects which occur in the cycle. This biogeochemical cycle is the movement of nutrients between living organisms and non-living ones. As such, the biogeochemical cycle has a considerable influence on the environment. For one, the biogeochemical cycle involves external transfers of elements among different components of a forest system. There is an uptake of nutrients from the soil and return of these nutrients in various ways such as leaf fall, branch shedding, root growth and death, or through tree mortality. Human interventions such as dumping waste in the soil and ocean, producing too much toxic gas, and removing plants for living space can highly affect the biogeochemical cycle.
Let's talk about the anthropogenic effects and the Le Chatelier's principle. Anthropogenic effects, processes, objects, or materials are those that result from human activity rather than those that occur naturally without human intervention. Environmental externalities such as chemical or biological waste produced as byproducts of otherwise intentional human activity are commonly referred to as externalities. For example, it is widely assumed that carbon dioxide generation is the principal driver of anthropogenic climate change. And then we have the Le Chatelier's principle. Despite the fact that it is commonly referred to as Le Chatelier's principle, Henry Louis Le Chatelier and Carl Ferdinand Braun are said to have developed it independently. In 1888, Le Chatelier released his treatise. When a system in dynamic equilibrium is acted on by an external stress, the Le Chatelier-Braun principle asserts that the system will adjust in such a way that the stress is relieved and a new equilibrium is established. Despite the fact that this theory was discovered through the medium of chemistry, it has been applied to a wide range of scientific disciplines. Influences that causes changes in an equilibrium state have a tendency to cause countervailing influences that oppose the changes and create a new equilibrium state. And now, let's talk about the invasive species, an example of it in the Philippines. Invasive species can degrade an ecosystem's natural resources while also posing a hazard to human usage of those resources. The vast water of ocean-going ships, purposeful and unintentional releases of aquaculture species, aquarium specimens or bait, and other methods can all be used to introduce an invasive species to a new location. Invasive species have the potential to extirpate native plants and animals, reduce biodiversity, compete for limited resources with native creatures, and modify environments. This could have a massive economic consequence as well as basic ecosystem changes along the coast and in the Great Lakes. The example of invasive species in the Philippines is the cane toads, which are sometimes referred to as bullfrogs, are the most widely dispersed invasive amphibian species. Sightings have been reported in at least 24 major islands around the Philippines, but not in the Palawan Island group. The species was first introduced to the Philippines in the 1930s as a sugarcane pest management strategy.
Moving on to epigenetics. Heritable changes in gene expression of how your behavior in environment can influence how your genes function. Epigenetic alterations, unlike genetic changes, are reversible and do not alter your DNA sequence. Nevertheless, they can alter how your body interprets a DNA sequence. Epigenetic alterations are common and natural phenomena, although they can be influenced by a variety of factors such as age, environment, and pathological conditions. epigenetic changes can impact how cells develop to become skin cells, brain cells, muscle cells, and other types of cells, or they can have more harmful effects that lead to disorders. In an environmental context, for example, soil pollution is perceptive. As a result of the unlawful dumping and industrial pollution, these activities can be linked to the changes in epigenetic that could lead to people who are at risk, such as those with neuromuscular diseases. Epigenetic alterations are common and natural phenomena, although they can be influenced by a variety of factors such as age, environment, and pathological conditions. Epigenetic changes can impact how cells develop to become skin cells, brain cells, muscle cells, and other types of cells, or they can have more harmful effects that lead to disorders. In an environmental context, for example, soil pollution is perceptive. As a result of the unlawful dumping and industrial pollution, these activities can be linked to the changes in epigenetic that could lead to people who are at risk, such as those with neuromuscular diseases. It has been a long journey since innovation and technological advancement has begun. As years pass, the Earth is now suffering the consequences of the actions we've done. Yet, it's not too late for the damages to regenerate. We need to focus on rehabilitation than destructions. Humans are the cause. Think and may the pause. The nature is bleeding. The future may not have a happy ending. Start the green journey. Let's not be blind of power and money. Together we arise as one community. Let us be the hope of the next generation. As a youth, let our voices be heard. Stop the abuse. It ends with us.